All right, so here's a quick tutorial on how to use Revit. I'm going to be pretty straightforward and it's going to be covering some of the simple basics so that you can get started on working on whatever project you gotta get going on, right? So to start off, you want to work on models because this is where you're going to be making your project. I personally worked over here with Imperial Multidiscipline with a template, but you could choose whichever other. Here you also have creating new project, but I'm just going to click OK. Now that you have your main screen going on, it's important to note the two most prevalent tabs, being the Properties tab, as well as the Project Browser. And here's where you're going to be looking at all your different views. Okay, so let's start off with an elevation here. Let's go with the north elevation. Now, your plan views are going to be dictated by these lines right here. You can add another one by coming over here to the architecture tab and then clicking on this button, which is the level button. Now, I personally like to set these close to level with the other ones and just set it just like that. Now, if you have this type of cursor, that means you're still drawing. So if you want to exit that, you can just click escape and that should bring you back to your regular cursor. Now, you can see that these are labeled L1, L2, L3, but you can change how they're labeled by just clicking two times on the name and we can call it uh, 4, right? So 4, or you could do different names, right? You could also change the orientation for these labels right there by clicking on that squiggly line right there. In case they're overlapping, you want to change them up. Now, another cool trick to know is if you click these and then you click your arrow buttons on your keyboard, you can make small adjustments. Or if you want to have a precise measurement, you could just double click on the measurement. And let's say I want the second floor to be, let's do 10 feet. You can just click 10 and it's automatically going to make it to 10, right? Now we made the third elevation, right? Level 3. I'm sorry, third plane. We can call this, say, roof cap, right? And this is going to be in the 22, but let's say we want it to be 13 feet. So we just do 13, boom, there we go. And you see they're overlapping. So you can just click here, do the squiggly line, and then boom, offset it. So that cleans it up, makes it a little bit easier to see, but this is not set up to a view. So if you look over on this side, you only have level 1, level 2, no level 3, no roof cap. So what we're going to do is we're going to click over here in view. We're going to click on plan views and then click floor plan. So it automatically detected that we have the level for roof cap. So we're just going to click OK. And that created a new view for us to work with. We could begin by creating a wall using this button right here. So after selecting the wall button, we can then select which type of wall we want using this button. Now, I personally want to use a brick exterior with sheetrock on the inside, so I'm just going to search up brick. And now you can see that here we have with brick on metal stud, right? So let's say this is the type of wall that I want to create. Now, it's important to note the starting point and ending point of the wall. Now, what I mean by that is where is the wall going to start? So in this case, we want it to start on the floor level. And then where is the wall going to end height-wise, which we want it to be in level 2, right? So the way to establish that is by double clicking on the floor plan view, right? To open up the view. And then from there, I'm going to click wall, and then I'm going to go into base constraint as well as top constraint. So that's where you set the base height as well as the top height. So the base constraint is set to 4, which is what I want, but top constraint is unconnected, meaning that the wall is going to go up 20 feet. Now, that's not what I want. I want it to go up to the second floor, so I'm just going to click L2, and that should set up the height. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to create a wall. I'm going to start off from this point, go downwards, and let's say I want a 20-foot wall. I could try to move my mouse and get it down to 20, or I could just type in 20 with my keyboard, click enter, and that's automatically going to make a wall that's 20 feet this way. So I could go 20. I could align it to this one, just click, click, and then boom, there you go. Now you have your wall. The only problem is we can't really see where the brick is. So if you click on this button, which is a detail level, and click fine, then you can see where the brick is set. Now, it could be easier to see which way they're facing if I have a three-dimensional view. So you can click on view right here, click the little house right there with the 3D view, and that should give us a clear image. Now, I'm moving the camera around with the scroll button. I'm just clicking it down, and then if you click shift and move with the scroll button, that's just going to allow you to move your camera as well. Now, if you see the brick is on the inside of the building and the sheetrock is on the outside, and that is not what I want to do. So I'm going to select multiple walls by clicking by clicking Control, and then clicking on each wall. And now that I have them all selected, I will just click spacebar, and that's going to flip them to the other side, right? So this looks more like what I want to have going on. I can now establish a floor so that we have somewhere to step on whenever we are walking around the building. So I'm going to click over here where it says floor. And the way to make a floor the easiest way possible is by clicking this button right here, which is establishing the perimeter by picking walls. Now I can click these four walls, make sure that my floor is the right type of floor, which let's say I, for sake of simplicity, just want the generic floor. I'm going to click the check mark, which was right there, and I have my floor down. Now, I want to apply a door as well as windows for people to come in and out of the building. So that can be placed using these buttons right here, which are for doors and windows, right? So I'm going to click the specific type of door that I want. There's multiple different types, but I'm just going to use the pre-selected one right here. I'm going to attach it, let's say right there. And there we go. We have our door going on. Now, if you look at these arrows, these are to change the direction of the door. So if you click on it, and let's say I want the door to come in this way, you can just click it that way. You can click these arrows to flip aside, right? But it just depends on which way you want the door to face. Now, if you're working with a diagonal wall, let's make one right here, because let's say the interior wall has some diagonal going on. We can go with a interior partition wall. Let's do a 2-hour one. And let's connect it from here, let's say maybe like that, right? But let's say I need to make it a 45-degree angle. If, as you can tell, it already is based on this degree marker right here. But maybe instead of 45 degree, I actually want something more around 50. So I can just click 50, click enter, and it's going to make it 50 degrees, right? Another good thing to know is that if you grab this point right here on any wall, you can stretch it out and then connect it to your other wall by just bringing it together, and there you go. You have your walls connected. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, but now let's say I want an opening here, right? Well, this is where the component tabs comes in pretty handy. You can select a lot of different components, but one that I find very helpful is this one right here, which says passage opening cased. So if you need any type of furniture, you can find them in Revit City or any other website that you trust, and you can download it from there. But you can just drag and drop them, place them wherever you need them to be, and that allows for you to create openings without having to really worry about doing anything really complicated. Now, this house is not really looking that great because it doesn't have any windows, right? So you can't really look on the outside. It feels a little bit like a jail. So let's add some windows by clicking on the window prompt right there. Let's select maybe casement double window right here. And now let's make it flip outside like that. Maybe add two here, add one right there, right? You can see that the spacing is correct. And if it isn't, let's say we want this window to be 4 feet towards the right, you can click on that measurement, type in 4 for 4 feet, and that should fix it up, right? So you can play around with that, make sure that everything is spaced out the way you want it to be. And once you have all of that down, it looks like the only thing we're missing is having a roof and a ceiling. So what we can do to add a ceiling is click the ceiling prompt, which was up here, go to our L1, and then you see that the constraint says that it's working with a level floor, right? So it says we're working on the floor level. Let me check the height. Yeah, the second floor is 10 feet high. So what we might want to do is click on ceiling, go height offset, make it 10 feet, and then from there just click these boundaries. Okay. So all I had to do was just click on the boundaries and yeah, just establish the height offset you want from the base floor, which was our floor labeled right here. And yeah, by doing that, we just set that the ceiling would be 10 feet high and it already placed it right there. So it looks like the only thing we need to do to finish off this building is add a roof, which is pretty simple as well. All you have to do is click the roof setting right there. It says, I have created the roof on the lowest level, and that is not what I want to do. I don't want my roof to start on the floor, so I will start it from L2, which if you remember is the highest point where we have our walls. Click yes. And then from there, it says that the base level is L2. Cutoff level, we won't work with that right now. We just want to have a roof. It says we have room bounding. Okay. Now I will select the boundaries with the same pick walls option. I will select these four walls, click the check mark, and that right there created our roof. Now, if you look at how it is placed, it's made so it is a triangular shape. But if we want it to be, let's say, maybe capped off here, and we want this to be flat for whatever reason, we might want to cut it off. What we can do is we can select cutoff level. We can select the roof cap, which is this level we made right there. And that should cut off the roof into that level. So now what we can do is we can just cover it up with a ceiling, right? We can come up here. We could click sketch ceiling, select the rectangle tool, which is right here. And I'll go from this point over to that point, click the check mark. And then if you see the floor is way up high because the height offset is 10 feet. So I can just reset that to 0 feet. And that should bring it a little bit lower like that. Maybe that's a little bit too high. So like I said, you can come back to this view, use your arrow keys to fix it into place. And there we go. That looks like a snug fit. It's looking good. There's probably going to be a further tutorial showing a little bit more of intricate details using Revit, because this is really just kind of scratching the surface. But yeah, make sure to stay tuned, ask any questions, and hope this video was helpful.